We continue our interviews from the digital zone of Lombardi Converting Machinery, and we are here now with Heinrich Lassen, the CEO and Business Development of Inkish. Welcome, Heinrich.
Thank you very much, and nice to be here on your show. Because I've followed the things that you guys have been doing for the last couple of years, so it's quite interesting. And it fits very well with our idea of communication, that we need to communicate in different levels as well and in different forms.
Exactly, I can say the same thing, because during the pandemic I discovered your format, I discovered your way of communication in web, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and that was so interesting because you have a multi-channel communication in different way. So let's start since the beginning. What is Inkish?
Well, Inkish was originally started because there was a wonder. And that's how some of the good or interesting companies start. There was a wonder, why is it like this? And Morten started to do the films some years ago. He started to do films with a perspective where it's not just running machinery, but it's in fact, what are the business models? What are the issues with processes? All those things around, for instance, printing presses, which can be interesting to know something about as well.
Yes, it's the same idea about what I love to do, to give voice about the feelings, emotions, sensations around the printing world. In fact, I started a format called FlexWorld that was an initiative to discover, to bring the viewers into the flexographic world, into the printing world with the actors and with the players. Before, you told me that behind Inkish there are many minds.
Yes, well, Inkish has grown, so now we are, apart from Morten and I, we are two filmers, and then we are Robert and Jacques, who's also doing interviews. So we have an American and a Belgian. Belgians are always the compromise because they speak a lot of languages and they're in the middle of Europe, so it's nice to have one there as well.
Yeah. It's interesting to see the different formats you realize. So you don't realize only films or videos, but you tell true stories.
Yes, Inkish is not just films, we also have Inkish News. And Inkish News is originally thought as a free platform, like we know them from several social media, where everybody is allowed to post articles and press releases. So that is a service that we started, and we're going to develop it further these coming years. But we believe that information and articles, knowledge should be free to a certain extent, and we think that that's interesting as well, because the written word is still interesting. We see that even though we post films on LinkedIn and other social medias and on our own website, the written communication is still interesting. And actually, we are moving from our film format on Inkish.tv and our written format on Inkish.news. We're also thinking about making a magazine. We're thinking about publishing books, like real books,
Wow.
because we still think that it's important to have this multi-channel approach. And there is something that films can't do, and there is something that communication online can't do, and that is, for instance, give you the opportunity to sit down and relax and get deeper into a topic. Because the advantage of a book is that there's no one who's pinging you while you're reading it, right?
Yeah.
There are no push messages.
Yes, really.
For to get deeper into the thought, that's really important, I think.
I love this kind of vision because you are exploring different channels to going deeper on the topic. It's incredible that. And it's so innovative.
Well, we just try to recognize that there's many ways of communicating, and you have to be on many platforms to communicate as well. And I think that we've tried that. For instance, we did a little tablet where we put all our films on, and it's wrapped nicely in a package where it's print. So this is a hybrid between print and technology. and that's what we like to think in different kinds of new initiatives and new ways of communicating.
Yes, I love this kind of vision that is different from mine, because you are coming back to the roots. So you started with films, with videos, but the importance of reading a book in a quiet place to understand deeper the argument. That is nice vision.
But-
It's different from the past,
I'm
because
not
it's not like a magazine. The magazine, the normal magazine or an article is reading a magazine or a news. Reading a book is totally different.
Yes and no. I mean, it's about giving and communicating in different ways where you can reach a different audience. So I think that's the main takeaway. But I think I've only been in this industry for like 3 years, right? And I'm still fascinated by a lot of things here, and I think that there's so much that print can do, and I think it's important that we realize that there's so much that print can do. I love wine shelves, for instance, not just because of the wine, but also because of the labels, right?
Sure, we all love labels, right?
And I think that it tells an interesting story also about a journey from. I remember 30 years ago, for instance, you didn't see that much foil in labels. You didn't see enhancement in the same way. So that's also a development in the communication. And now, actually, when you choose a wine or another product, it has to pass the label test, right? It has to have an attractive label. And I think that that's the same thing with the formats that we produce. That it has to be attractive. It has to be easy to distinguish.
Really. It's so interesting, and for me it's a pleasure to have you here discussing about this similar vision from Italy directly to Denmark, because it started in Denmark, right?
Yes, we did.
And of course we have to collaborate in some way in this new phase of the world, because now we are speaking in a digital way in a physical place.
Yes. And I mean, we love trade shows too. I mean, exhibitions. It's nice to meet people, and I think it's good to see to see running equipment, to see all this, feel the buzz. So, but I think that we also have to perhaps have a look at exhibitions. How can we reinvent them? How can we make them better? Because there was a pandemic for 2 years, and we learned to acquire information in different ways in those 2 years.
Yes.
And we can't just look away from that and say, oh, now it's done, so now we start back at what we did in 2019. The world has changed since then.
The world is changed, but now we have a lot of know-how that we have learned in these 2 years. Because personally, I believe that my professional growth was so big in these 2 years, more than before COVID-19. And I discovered interesting reality, like your reality, and now to meet in person and discussing here physically, I love that, because it's pure 100% marketing vibes.
Yeah, you can say that.
I love this expression. I hope for the future to create something with you, to collaborate with you, because we have a similar vision and a specific vision of the communication, because it's not so common, this kind of vision. So I'd like to work and find something, a common point, to create a good goal together.
Let's do that.
Let's do that.
Thank you very much for the chance to be on your channel.
Say hello to all your team that I saw before only in the screen. Your team is amazing. Say hello. And from the Digital Zone with Harrik from Inkish Soul, we continue our journey into Print4ALL Milan.